Welcome back to The Dive. Our guest today will be discussing gold from a producer standpoint. How does he see the trend market in light of Evergrande and the energy crisis, inflation and its correlation to gold, the company's production, progress, and new facility, and of course, what investors should anticipate in the future? He is the president and CEO of Inca One Gold Corp, Edward Kelly. But before we bring him on, just a friendly reminder to tap on that subscribe button. Hey, Edward, welcome back to The Dive.
Great to be back with you again.
Yeah, great to have you back. Okay, so let's start with the Evergrande crisis. Do you believe this situation implies to a broader trend in the gold market?
Yeah, it's one of those situations where it's the classic uncertainty and fear put into the marketplace. I don't know if it's something that's going to have a huge effect on markets worldwide or not, but I guess what you could say is that will this cause a crash around the world? Is what most people are wondering right now. Serious market crashes in different markets around the world. And I think this is something that's been known in the market for some time, with on the street. So um, someone once told me that if you're looking to see if there's the markets, because I always kind of like, hey, the market's getting toppy. Is there going to be a correction? Is there going to be a crash? And go to some analysts and talk to them, and ones that are smarter than me. And they always say, look at the yield curve, and if it's inverted, you're going to have a major crash in the stock markets in the next 3 to 12 months. And if not, then there could be a dip from this crisis. And if we're looking at this specific one in China, and buy the dip. And right now, the yield curve is not inverted, so that's what I'm going to be doing myself. Is if there is a crash, I think it's going to be something probably like in March of 2020, and that was a good buying time.
Okay,
So
interesting. So we're also seeing an energy crisis in Europe. Prices of uranium are flying, while Amazon, Uber, and McDonald's are struggling to find workers. Do you have any thoughts on how inflation is appearing, and how do you think it correlates with gold?
yeah, well, I guess these inflationary items, specifically energy, uranium, if you want to tackle that, I think we've seen a big uptake in it, some moves, but I think those are kind of created by one group in particular, being Sprott, and their new entry into the market to be able to buy spot uranium. So I don't know how sustainable that is in the long term, because once you spend, you can only buy so much of it. And I know they've raised billions or $1 billion plus in the last few months of uranium for uranium purchases. And if they're going to control the market, then they're going to need a whole lot more of that, a whole lot more dollars to be able to corner that market. But hey, anything's possible with it. And I think there's real inflation, and you know, Uber, McDonald's, maybe they need to raise Amazon. Maybe they need to raise rates and that with inflation for lower priced workers. That's something to be able to say, but time will tell. Then it really comes down to, with inflation and gold, it really depends on the real rate of return that investors are looking for. Inflation minus that 10-year rate. So what will interest rates do? What's the Fed going to do? There's some talk on raising them that 10-year rate, but I don't know if they can in the long term, because it's going to cost them more money to be able to, and all the money printing that's going to go on, that's gone on in the last a couple of years here, and all their debt, they're going to have to pay higher rates. And now even a quarter point on $1 trillion, work that out in the math, and how does that affect on budgets? It's going to have to just mean higher taxes, or more money printing, which I think in the end is good for gold. So we'll see here if they're able to hold off that rate to increase, or if it's just a short term. We'll have to see. It might have an effect on gold for a few months, but increasing it will definitely lead to more inflation, I believe, which is greater cause for higher gold prices down the road.
Makes sense. Okay, so let's talk about Inca One. Following record processing in May and July, the company announced its best ever August record production. Can you walk us through how the company is achieving such significant growth?
Yeah, well, it's really just a derivative of the this prepaid gold facility payment that we got from OSIM Precious Metals the first week of August, and we were able to raise $6 million US on a first drawdown of 9 million in total. So that's the most working capital that the company's ever had, and we've been able to go out and deploy that in purchases. In our business, it's all about the working capital, buying tons of gold bearing mineral, then we can process it. And it's one of those things where if you don't have the money, you can't buy it. And now we've got the working capital, we can go out and buy, and we were able to get a good start at it. And I believe that it's going to continue in the future, just with turning over this working capital. And it's really just a part of our business where we buy it and we process it, and then we process it to a raw material of gold doré, and then we sell it to the refineries in Europe.
So, how will the new facility impact the company's production?
Well, again, it's we had record deliveries for the month of August, and we had so that allowed us to have record production. So it's a little bit delayed once the deliveries come in. It's usually about a could be 2 weeks by the time we're able to put that. We've graded it and we've agreed to commercial terms, and then we're able to start blending it and processing it. So we're going to continue to see that production increase with more tons that we buy, and having it's not so much the amount of ounces that we get. I mean, that's part of the sales, but for every ton that we put through the plant, we get a dollar. There's a dollar value attached to that. So the higher the grade, the higher the dollar amount that we can usually get. But it's all about, for us, it's excess capacity and filling that excess capacity of tons.
Mhm. How challenging will it be to renew these facilities after they are repaid?
Well, it's from that we should be able to turn a profit. Obviously, in anything above 200 tons per day is where our profit margins start kicking in, and at some point the company from that will be able to have, at these current production rates, we should be able to fund our own working capital from our own profits. So to be able to grow beyond that, then it's a matter of finding other facilities. And we've got a start of a very good relationship with OSIM, and as we grow, we'll be able to knock on those doors and be able to see if there's more working capital available. And in today's I guess financial environment, there's a lot of cash chasing deals that are good, and can give afford to be able to pay a return. So I believe that there's going to be that shouldn't be an issue down the road.
So, what can investors expect production numbers to look like if everything goes to plan?
Yeah, with the current working capital that we have available at the moment, I think investors can expect, depending on the grade that we're buying at the time, and that fluctuates somewhere between 175 and 250 tons per day of production. So, and that will be able to continue from now until the end of the year. And again, that's the higher the grade, then maybe the less amount of tons that we can be able to purchase. But we're trying to get it in that sweet spot where we can have a good velocity of money, turning it over as quickly as possible and buying as many tons as possible. So anything north of 200 tons per day is kind of where we're hoping, between August and end of December, is what our average will be.
Awesome. All right. So, one more thing before you go here. Are there any other key events that we should look out for with Inca One over the remainder of the year?
Well, I think the in our business, it's a little bit different than your typical or traditional mining company where they have their own mine. For us, we've got a couple hundred small scale miners that we're working with, and mines spread throughout Peru. So I think the gold price is a key piece for us, and
Mhm.
we're happy with the gold price that we're at right now, with having borrowed at say 1800, and the lower it is, then the more tons that we should be able to purchase. So,
Mhm.
I think it's just a matter of watching the gold price here, and we'll be able to forecast out what our production should be and getting into those profitable numbers for us.
Okay, sounds great. Well, thank you so much for joining us again and giving us the update, Ed.
All right, good to be with you again. Thank you.
Thanks so much for tuning in today. We'll be back again tomorrow with more great content. So be sure to stay tuned by hitting that notification bell.